Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. My name's Ash. Here's some comics. Not my comics though. These are comics from Nine Fingers Turbo, Jeremy, minus one digit, at minus one digit on Twitter, guy I follow. Bought some, looks like some really good X-Men issues here from, actually some X-Force, X-Factor, from Second Prince, who is pretty positive it's DMI on Twitter. No, it's at Second Prince, but he's LCS, who I also follow. And this isn't really the subject of the what I want to talk about today, but I just want to hit it up because Twitter can be such a frustrating place to get your ideas out and communicate, because you just have these small little tweets, and people like to misconstrue what you say, and then other people jump in and don't read the previous parts of the conversation, and then they add their 2 cents in, and things get all jumbled up. So here's what's going on. Nine Fingers posts his thing about he bought some books, and it's like, yay, he's all excited, which is cool. Like, you know what? I should have liked that. Like, all cool. Just move along. Then I saw this post, and I was like, oh yeah, Move the Needle, those classic back issues. Another enthusiastic fan posting some great era X-Men and X-Factor books that they love. Cool. Like, nothing wrong here. Like, I was like, all right, you know what? I'll even like that one too. I apologize for coughing in your ear. Usually try to mute that. So I just responded, because I'm a big proponent of Move the Needle, right? So I responded, if only back issues did anything to move the needle. Now I know this isn't, again, doesn't communicate your idea very well, but great, awesome, you bought these books, and that's fantastic. If only doing that moved the needle. Like, that's how I meant it. DMI responds, yeah, it is Second Prince. You know, they help LCSs like me out, and I responded to him, but he hasn't answered. And that's true, they do help LCSs out, and I'm all for that. Lol, right? Okay, yeah, no one disagrees. There's not a... DMI, who needs new comics when back issues are so much better and the money goes to people you actually like? Okay, to which I responded to him, like, you're a store, you tell me. Like, I thought you wanted to sell new issues. He hasn't responded. Then Quantum Level Doctor joins in. Another person I follow, respect. Damn straight, that's what I'm doing. All these new comics money, fuck the publishers. Buy back issues and knock out their back inventory. Okay, great. That's awesome. I don't disagree there. You know what? Here's my problem. And I'm going to accept response. I didn't like any of these things. So maybe this would have helped if they saw that I liked their post, that I'm like kind of on their side. I'm not being contrarian, which can be very easy on Twitter. I know, as you're going to see here, like, this is what I deal with all the time. So I responded, well, you know, well, if you feel this way, if you like, the point was it's not moving the needle. Personally, I think fuck the publishers, quotes, attitude hurts everybody. When they're gone, the LCSs go with them, and then we go with them. Move the Needle has a purpose. Good comics are still being made. Then Grand Comics, another person I followed, another person I had odds, not another person, this person I had odds with early on, completely my fault. He said something about something that totally came off like a hostile, like SJW would do. And I kind of just jumped the gun, jumped down his throat, and responded to him like I do a lot of SJWs. And it was just like, he would jump back. Some of his buddies were like, what the hell is you? You know, and it was like, oh, well, I can't tell. I don't know who everyone is, and I don't research everyone on Twitter. And so I publicly apologized to him and everything, saying, you know what, that was my fault. I jumped the gun. You said this. I interpreted it this way. I completely apologized, which, to his credit, he manned up. We kind of had a virtual shaking of hands, and everything's been great between us. It's not like we're good buddies or anything, but it's been positive. Now, so he responds, back issues, pros, all these things, blah, 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 blah. Not arguing this, 100%. Cons, doesn't move the needle. Huh? And then proceeds to also add this. Like, is that supposed to be me? Like, I'm just the moron who... I didn't make this argument, you know? So I respond to him, anytime you buy back issues, you move the needle because you're supporting your LCS. There's no cons to helping them or anybody to succeed. I'm sorry, that was capital G. I responded to him... Deal with SJWs. I deal with SJWs nonstop on here. And one of the things I have to constantly deal with them is the purposeful misconstruing of everything I say. Having non-SJWs doing it too is beyond frustrating. I never even suggested buying back issues was a bad thing. What the fuck? Okay, so I haven't read any of these. I'm not going to go in a rabbit hole there. So capital G says you buy back, you move the needle. Blah, blah, blah. Now, again, you're supporting your LCS. I 100% agree. There's no cons to helping them. 100% agree. Or anybody. 100% agree. Succeed. Great. 100% about supporting LCS, including buying back issues. Has been vocal about it for a year now. I have a YouTube channel about it. I'm talking right now. However, to think buying back issues moves a needle is to show a non-understanding of what the tag is about. And then Rick, who has joined in the conversation in other parts of the thread, just for whatever reason, to harass me when Doctor and I were having a really good conversation about something else, excuse me, again, apologize, decides he's going to jump in and I guess troll me some more because he just wants to be an asshole. I don't know. And then they're okay, so that's where it's at. I'm sure there's even now new stuff because just people love to just go on Twitter frickin' tantrums. Now, most everyone in this thread, almost everybody, I follow. The only people I don't follow, I don't actually know. I don't know anything. I don't follow this guy. I don't know any. I've never seen him. I don't know. I'm sure he's a great guy. I have no problems with him. I wasn't even trying to criticize. I should have maybe been a little more clear. Like, this is frustrating in Twitter. I have to make a disclaimer. You know, first, it's all the blah, 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 la, 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 fluff you up, emotionally validate you. And then the only sad little thing is it doesn't move the needle. Like, so I can make sure you're not at all thinking I'm hostile towards you, which, to his credit, he hasn't really responded. It's the white knighting of other people, like, coming into the, and it's like, I didn't even say anything hostile. So, down rabbit hole I go. I wanted to talk about this verbally, and you can see I would never fit this into a tweet or get it all out there. Move the needle. Hashtag move the needle. Hashtag move the needle was a tweet created by our boy Zach, aka Diversity in Comics, aka Richard Meyer. It started off as a thing that he put out there because he has inside pros that he deals with, his little inside contacts or whatever that he's never like revealed. And one of them talked to him, but it's like, oh, your little movement doesn't mean anything unless you can move the needle. To which Zach said, hold my beer, challenge accepted. Not so much, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but you get the point. Then Zach went out and created a tag, said that's a really great thing, move the needle. Made a hashtag, move the needle. Then told all of his 80,000 followers, however many he has, he's got a ton of them, I'm one of them, to move the needle, like, and explained what it was all about. And originally, Move the Needle was about recommendations. If Zach recommended a comic and we went out and bought it, based on his recommendation, we would tweet a picture of it, say, hey, Zach bought it. Or sorry, Zach recommended that we get this comic, and I did. And that's showing Move the Needle. It's basically showing this was not a comic I was buying before, and tell Zach or other people, he opened it up, like if anyone else does it too, do the same, you know, I wouldn't have bought this otherwise, but now I am. So this is an additional comic being purchased now due to the movement of Comicsgate that I wasn't buying before, hence Move the Needle. Then, in the past, I got a little, not uppity, but I made a comment similar to this to someone that got all bent out and moved out of shape about Just trying to correct it because I'm a big believer in Move the Needle. I'm not trying to harass anyone. I'm not trying to disparage anyone. I'm just trying to keep the hashtag on point because someone could come into Twitter today and see this, and they don't have all the background. They don't know. So they're trying to be, what is Move the Needle about? Oh, I guess it's just about whenever you buy comics, you post it. You know, they're trying to extrapolate this definition, and there's not a resource necessarily that they can go, you know. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do is clear the air here. I'm not trying to harass, you know, disparage anyone, say anyone's stupid, nothing like that. I'm just trying to, I want to get it back on point. And that's always been my goal because I believe in Move the Needle, and I believe it can only work if we're using it all for the same purpose. If we just randomly use it for dog food or whatever, like Rick trolled me on, like, what's that going to do? You successfully trolled me. Okay, but I care about the industry, and I think thousands of people on Twitter using this post for the right way helps the industry. So here's the deal. Like, Zach made a big clarification because people were getting all uppity and so Zach's kind of streamlined the idea of it. I think he forgot how he originally posted it, to be honest. But whatever, it doesn't matter. And said, look, Move the Needle is about buying new comics. Buy your new comics. You post that you bought it because what is shipped to LCSs is not the same as what people actually buy. LCSs ship stuff, especially like Marvel, they overship. The numbers on shipping doesn't accurately show what people are buying. But you guys, meaning all of us, posting Move the Needle posts about the comics you went and bought at the store, new, show, hey, I'm buying, and I'm just going to make up comics here, Batman, Superman, I'm buying Venom, I'm doing it, and you show your comics. Someone who goes in and does a search on Move the Needle is going to see all these pictures of these comics that are going to see easily common threads of certain comics that are all on there consistently. And it does. If you do Move the Needle, you're going to see, now you're going to see every single comic. You're going to see Iceman on Move the Needle, which I'm like, oh my goodness. But whatever, fine. Zach was like, it's for anybody. It's not just for Comicsgate. Move the Needle. Just like free market, the cream will rise to the top. It's self-correcting. And I was like, so okay, whatever. Zach, it's your hashtag. I support it. So I've been supporting it that way. It's not about back issues. Back issues are not being published anymore. This is about telling the industry, hey, industry. Like a recent run, a good example is Detective Comics. When Brian Hill came on, there was a big push to say, hey, Brian Hill is doing a fantastic job. You know, and everyone's like, oh, Move the Needle. Brian, oh, we love this Detective Comics. Da, 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 da. Now, I don't know if this was because of it or if this has already worked before it. I don't know. But now Brian Hill's got his own Batman book. And Detective Comics seems to be better than ever. Tomasi's being put on it. Like, there's been changes done. It feels like Move the Needle had an effect. Regardless, that is the MO of Move the Needle, is to show, look, these comics we're liking, do more of this. And not to just be like, hey, I bought old back issues of Hawk and Dove. Okay, that's great. And again, I sound like my attitude is poor here, but that's a different subject. It's not telling the publisher that the current comics they're publishing, which ones are the right ones, which ones you're buying off the shelf. If you're not buying any comics off the shelf, you absolutely aren't moving the needle. Move the Needle is about getting the comics we want to be published more. And for publishers to realize there are other comics that no one wants. No one's going to see Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur on Move the Needle because it just doesn't sell. No one buys it. Quicksilver, it's not on there. No one buys it. Okay? Mags Massaggio's Kim and Kim, I think it's selling like less than 1,000 issues. No one's buying it. It's not on Move the Needle. These are things you can't really fake. And the idea is people like SJWs came out and said, you could fake pictures, blah, blah. So people start putting receipts. Like, yeah, whatever. A lot of you know this. So I just want to clarify this opportunity. First of all, number one, to like, let's stop misconstruing people. Let's read what people say. And if you don't fully understand what they say, question them. You know, I don't feel like I've earned a reputation as being... I feel like I'm constantly supporting LCSs. My talk about Move the Needle might be annoying to people who see me doing it a lot, but I mean, you can not follow me or block me or whatever. But it's from a good heart. Like, I've never talked about Move the Needle as a bad thing. I've never talked about back issues as a bad thing. I don't want to conflate the two. They're separate topics. They're both positive topics. I think we need a new hashtag for LCSs and support your LCS and buy back issues. Like, that would actually be beneficial too. So people could like see like, oh, if I do this, hashtag back issues or whatever, something more clever. But this is just annoying. Especially I'm dealing with Ren and all her legion, SJW Spider-Man, 100 Hairs, all these just internet idiots that just constantly lie, constantly misconstrue what you say so they can straw man. And then I get on here and the people that I follow and actually like expect to have better conversations have to like start, you're totally saying, no, I'm not. I'm not saying any of that. So, hope you understand a little bit better what Move the Needle's about. Obviously, I can't control how you use the tag, so use it for whatever you want. If you want to post dog food purchases, Move the Needle, you're free to do it. I'm just educating you what the purpose is, and hopefully you'll choose to use it to help the industry. Or do whatever you want. Yay! Moving along. Yeah. Ash has the best video casts, right? Who calls them video casts? All right, the real thing that I wanted to talk about today is politics in comics. Perch, another guy I follow, another LCS. Look, I support these LCS guys. Really like this guy. I was on a live stream with him. I think he's got really great ideas. He's really good at expressing his ideas and communicating. I recommend you follow him on Twitter if you're into comics. Before I do that, real quick, I wanted to spotlight a guy I just found on YouTube. This guy, Professor Geek, he is a YouTuber. Not a large YouTuber. Got, 6,000 more, over 6,000 more subscribers than I do. It's always like a weird backwards thing for me, to double-edged sword, to recommend these guys, because like, oh, he's better than me. Go watch his channel, and I lose subscribers. But whatever, I'm not in it to be a superstar. I just love talking comics. I found this guy. I've never heard of him. I don't know who he is. I've never seen him on Twitter. I don't know if he's even on Twitter. But I saw this video in my YouTube feed, and I was like, oh man, I gotta hear what this guy has to say. It almost went like 11 minutes or whatever. Bendis is waiting for your apology. I was like, this is going to be great. And it is. He's got a really great voice. He has a good recording setup, so it all sounds great. You're not hearing dogs go out the dog door like you are on my video. And he is a professor in real life. He's a teacher of some sort. I'm assuming he's a professor. He's got a master's degree in fine art in writing, I think is what he said. I've listened to several of his podcasts now. This is one of his videos. This is one of the best. And he is very insightful about writing and about just his approach on comics. He's got a very interesting take. His channel is not so much like mine, where I focus more on actually just analyzing individual comics themselves. It's just more about writing and different things. You can see he goes into other cartoons, he's Star Wars. So it's geek culture. He did a really cool one on Comicsgate, which I appreciated because it was an outsider. It's really cool. This is a good one. For like someone who's like not embedded into Comicsgate and but having their view. So spotlight on this guy. I doubt he's going to watch my video, but Professor Geek, if you are watching, thanks for making a good channel, and I'm a subscriber. See, look, subscribed. So yeah, spotlight. Now back to the main event. You're like, geez, Ash, this has been on forever already. I'll try to go fast. All right. So Perch posted this Twitter. Let me widen it out here. About the whole politics and comics argument is a red herring on multiple fronts. It's propped up to extremes that has an effect of killing discussions into of killing discussions into politeness. Politics, or political topics, have always been in comics, but that's not what people complain about. Amen. They don't. And here you can see the full picture there. The next time someone snarks at politics have always been in comics, as if to prove some amazing point that nobody was making in the first place, just give them one of these. Hope everyone had a great weekend. That was the end. Fast forward. Forgot to show the whole thread. The people complaining about politics in comics aren't talking about panels drawn in comics. They're talking about over their feelings that the creators are prioritizing ideology over telling a story. That's a topic that people can debate, but that requires thinking and nuance. And here we have Reagan talking to Superman. This is a really great point. Look at, he's here talking about, gonna pass an executive order or superheroes, and you'll hear SJWs, oh, see, politics are always in comics. Yeah, fake politics. The difference here, and going back to Professor Geek real quick, he made a statement that I haven't heard anyone put it this way, and I'm going to steal it. He talked about modern comics today aren't story, they're rhetoric. And I was like, oh wow, that's so profound. And the difference here is, this is a story. Inside this fake world, there are politics. Duh. And this is the fake politics that these characters are dealing with. But it's not rhetoric, which is persuasive communication to the audience, you. This isn't, oh, Obamacare is da-da-da, we got to pat, and like trying to tell the audience, putting politics out of the panel, breaking the fourth wall. It's all contained in the book. Rhetoric versus story. Big deal. Modern comics, rhetoric. Old comics have story with politics in them. Unfortunately, the whole topic has boiled down into idiots making blatantly false points in a juvenile attempt to one-up the other side, rather than have an open debate on if ideology is trumping, no pun intended, storytelling. I don't buy that. I think you did intend to trump. They go for points nobody was arguing. And that's true. That is constant. SJWs always straw man if they can. They always misconstrue what you say because they don't actually want to argue a well-reasoned argument. So they'll find a way to twist it and then argue that and straw man, and you go around in circles and you'll want to pull your hair out and punch them in the head. So here we have his, just so you can kind of see the full picture, because I hate seeing the cut-off picture and be like, what is it actually saying? The topic of how storytelling has changed is a very interesting discussion in the debate. The topic of, did comics at one point show a president, therefore comics have always been political, losers, is to me just dummy trolling. Stop inventing straw men rather than actually talk. Thanks for holding my stuff, fellas. Now excuse me while I go save America. Yeah. This is a great point. SJWs do this all the time. Like, oh, look, here's a president in the comic. There's political. No. And I covered this already. It's within the realm of the comic. It's fine. So the next time someone snarks at politics, have always been in comics, as if to prove some amazing point that nobody was making in the first place, just give them one of these and hope everyone had a great weekend. And I like this one a lot. This is a fake strip. We all know that the comics we had in real life, political things in them. That's not what anyone was saying, you dummy. But how will you argue with you now? If we can't, I'm reading this through the phone. If we can't claim that you're a stupid comic fan, then we don't have any arguments left. Try actually having an honest conversation rather than just flaming people for a change. Hey kids, these are actual Nazis. So here's a good little meme. And then there's quite a few comments, which I won't really go over. You can read those for yourself. Again, add Perch. It's pretty recent in his timeline. politics in comics. They have not always been in comics. It's a lie. There have been politics in the comic book industry, and there's been propaganda. You'll see people post legitimate propaganda shots that were like basically like advertisements of like Superman talking about immigration. It's like a PSA, right? And there's an old one that's really cringy about Captain America punching a Jap. It's like, punch a Jap for something or other. These weren't actually comics. They were comics characters that were adapted for political campaigns. And that may even be a campaign for the company, Marvel or DC. But they weren't in the comic themselves. In other words, you, the reader, weren't paying $4 to read that. You were paying for an actual story. And then on the side, they might say, hey, by the way, here's an ad of something we think, and you can just be like, yeah, whatever. But you got your money's worth. You didn't pay for propaganda. And that's what the politics in comics is. That's the issue that Comicsgate has. If you're confused, anyone that still thinks that politics were always in comics and I don't understand what Comicsgate is about, no. We're about not being preached to. We're about not having propaganda thrown in our face. Keep the politics within the story of the comic. Keep it relevant to the characters in the comic, such as the example I showed where Reagan was talking about the superhero registration or something like that. That's fine. Marvel's Civil War originally. That was fine. It told a political story about should superheroes be identified and regulated by the government. That's a sensical story. And it can have nuance that carries over into real world to make us, the readers, think about our reality in a political way. But it's not preaching any politics to us. Do you see how that works? I think a lot of you do. I don't mean to talk in an attitude that you don't. I gotta deal with the SJW so much. So that's what I had to do. Wanted to talk about today. Kept another 30 minutes. Episode wrapped. Thank you all for watching. I love talking comics. This one has a lot to talk about. Follow me on Twitter, Ash1138. There I am. Yeah. Here I am. Follow me. I love to chat with you. You can also please post in the comments. I try to respond to every comment I get. If you have a video, I will go check it out like I did with Professor Geek. I'll give you a shout out on my channel, whatever. We should all network. Talk about comics. Talk about the good stuff. Hopefully, eventually, we can get rid of all this SJW stuff and have fun again. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.